The text messages would prove that this couple was together at one time, that they were optimistic about their future, that they cared about each other, but most of all, they were expecting their first child together. Bremen, Minnesota, April 5th, 2017. She would complain about the lack of sleep she was getting through text messages. She spoke about drugs and alcohol abuse in these texts as well. Apparently, her and her newborn's father, Dylan Arisby, were homeless, unemployed, and living in a tent. When Eli was born, many articles stated that the couple was no longer even together in this relationship. ShyAnn was even dealing with a current drug charge that was pending. I imagine things had become overwhelming for her. I mean, she was young. She was 24. She was homeless. She had substance abuse issues. And she was no longer with the father of her son, which was making her a single mother. She would text her sister, quote, "I don't think I'm keeping the kid," end quote. She would explain later to Isanti County Sheriff's Office and the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension what happened. At 2 a.m., she was preparing to feed her baby. She claims she accidentally hit his head on the threshold of the bathroom door. That would explain one side. What about the other side? She then said she may have forcefully thrown him into the crib, accidentally hitting his head on the wall. This accident would split little Eli's head right open, causing him to have 2 fractures. She also stated 2 days prior to this accident, Eli had fallen off of a chair. When paramedics arrived after a screaming woman had called in that a little baby wasn't breathing around 10:50 a.m., 7 hours after she would lay Eli back down after his feeding, the paramedics found little Eli cold to the touch. He was blue. He wasn't breathing. He was dead. He had been dead for quite some time. She said she checked on him at 5 a.m. and he was fine and that he was breathing. ShyAnn Hentges, she had little Eli Gage Arisby Hentges on February 3rd, 2017, but he would die. He would pass away from his injuries 2 months later at the hands of his very own mother. No, he didn't live long at all. An autopsy of Eli's was performed by the Midwest Medical Examiner's Office in Isanti County, which ruled his death a homicide. His injuries included 2 healing left rib fractures, in addition to 2 fatal skull fractures and 11-centimeter facial fracture. He also had bruises on his head prior to his death. The examiner's office noted possible asphyxiation due to unsafe sleeping conditions. She was arrested, and the courts would give ShyAnn a $500,000 bond, which made her remain in jail under homicide, later dropped to possible manslaughter charges. Now, it's easy to grieve over a baby that we have never met. It's easy to fault the mother. It's easy to say who's to blame and what the reasons are. All we know is that Eli is no longer here. I guess it would be unfair if I didn't tell her side of the story. of what was said in court. So here goes. By age 11, ShyAnn was sent to a foster care. She was taken out of a very hostile home environment. But while in foster care, she flourished. She was like a different child. But at the age of 21, leaving the foster care, she would return back to that hostile environment and her parents, where the downward spiral had begun again. Around this time, she would meet her boyfriend, Dylan. She said in this relationship, it was violent. He was mentally and physically abusive to her. So then she began drinking and taking drugs, and that they both had substance abuse issues. But she said when she found out she was pregnant, she stopped. So I guess these young people were very optimistic about the future again, and knowing that they had a baby on the way. I was watching a video that intrigued me because I knew about it, but I never knew how it worked. If the baby is under 7 days old, a woman who's in distress that just does not want this child anymore, she could take this baby to this safe haven box. As soon as the box is open and a silent alarm will sound, the mother will not hear it. She will not be arrested. The baby is then placed inside this safe haven box. The alarm sounds again. Again, the mother does not hear it. And then she will close the door. The door actually automatically locks. She can try to open up the door, but she cannot get the baby out. Even if she changes her mind at this point, she cannot get the baby out. On the other side of this safe haven box, after the alarm has been sounded twice, the baby is rescued. They say in Indiana, this safe haven box has saved so many infants that would have caught a similar, if not worse, fate that Eli caught. But if your baby is a little bit older, you can still bring your baby to clinics, hospitals, urgent care centers, fire departments. All they ask you to do is maybe just tell the baby's background of health concerns so they know how to treat the baby in the future. You won't get arrested. If you don't want your baby for whatever reasons, you won't get arrested. Let this baby have a life. Let you continue to have a life. Let somebody else have a chance to raise this child. If Eli would have been given this opportunity, if this was just too overwhelming for ShyAnn, she could have brought this baby anywhere. She was found guilty of second-degree murder on February 20th, 2020, for murdering her son. A local reporter would ask the father of Eli, what did he wish, what did he want the outcome to be? And he said, quote, justice for Eli, unquote, is what he wanted. I looked at the father's post, and every birthday he wishes his son a happy birthday. He also says one day he will see his boy in heaven one day. It's such a sad story. to know that he had a child that he couldn't protect, that's no longer here. He probably would have never thought ShyAnn could do something like this, but it was done. ShyAnn Hentges received 12.5 years in prison. That's the justice that was given to Eli. Rest in peace.